Hey guys, Courtney here with Knowledge Well Media. It is April the 15th, 2020, and what time is it? About 10 minutes to, nope, about 9 o'clock in the morning. Just wanted to get this out, touch base with you. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done one of these video uploads, but lots going on and doing a lot of research and things like that. So besides, I don't think it's necessary to do it every day anyways, but hope everything is well with you and your family. As usual, there is no shortage of news around the country, around the states, definitely not in our own neck of the woods, right? So where to begin? Just wanted to talk with you just a little bit, had some thoughts going through my mind. And but first, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that button down below, right down there. Make sure that you get notifications. You might have to hit that bell a couple times, and so you can get notifications each time I post a new video. All right, with that out of the way. So I was talking to someone regarding politics and some of the maneuvers and things that we're seeing. I don't think anyone would doubt that there's definitely an agenda from coast to coast and around the globe right now as pertains to this coronavirus pandemic. Um, uh, People in the UK burning down cell phone towers because of the 5G scare. Okay, other infections supposedly on the horizon, medical malpractices, and false reporting in order to take advantage of government funding and grants from the government, loans and things. Um, Food store shelves becoming empty. So all kinds of things, you name it. But more specifically, what I was thinking on is, like I said, the agendas that are going on. Okay, which side are we to believe? Now, hearing reports, I was looking at an article this morning about Trump defunding the World Health Organization. So it seems like there's a bifurcation going on here regarding viewpoints and narratives. And so it's, in my opinion, all set to divide the minds of the people, to confuse us so that we don't really know what's going on or what to think. And so we have to, in my opinion, start thinking for ourselves and stop going along with the narratives. In my discussion, as I mentioned before, I was talking about the fact that the television has been used since the early 1900s, or perhaps longer. I doubt it, but I'm going to say here, for these intents and purposes, since the early 1900s. And, I was outlining how it's called television programming for a reason. Okay, because I truly believe that it was instituted for that purpose, to program the way that you think, to set certain values generated by the upper echelon and the owners of these syndicates and broadcast stations. And so if the people don't realize this and don't actually function in alignment with that reality, we may be prone to being programmed against our wishes or our will. And so the viewpoints that each of these broadcasting stations puts out, as I've said in other videos, are put out by owners. So the viewpoints that you're getting have been sanctioned and approved or disapproved, okay? And so that has to somehow resound in your mind and let you know that there's always an agenda. There's always a narrative, okay, when it comes to television and programming, okay? Music is the same way. Howbeit, I think that there's more of a hypnotic happening through the flickering of the television screen. Think about CGI. Think about how much they've progressed with the computer-generated images, okay? And it's a craft, okay? It's a craft to this thing. They pride themselves on how proficient they are at tricking your mind into believing that what you're seeing could potentially or is real, right? So with all that being said, we have to realize that the government's main stage to interacting with the people, okay, and not only the government but big corporations that kind of align themselves with government or that are lobbyists to the government in order to impression the minds of the American people and abroad and people abroad, right? Um, so this is their stage, if you will. Okay, so when you think of a stage, you think of a play, right? Okay, you think of actors and actresses, right? Okay, so they're all playing their part in this on this proverbial world stage, or actually literally a world stage. I've heard in news reports they use that terminology on the world stage. All right, there's something to be said about the word personas. Okay, and you and I being labeled as persons. Okay, look up what persona is. I've done that study at length at least a few times on this on these channels, on this YouTube channel. You might want to go back in the archives and check it out. But you just really have to think this through. Okay, why all these terminologies that suggest some kind of? It puts me in the mind of Truman Show. You remember the Truman Show? And more I'm starting to realize that probably is more truth than fiction. Okay, especially with the Big Brother, the cameras everywhere, the satellites everywhere, and we the people really don't realize the full extent of the interloping of big government and big business into our lives. I mean, that's just the truth. So fear mongering or conspiracy theory, you can call it whatever you want, but I guarantee you did not foresee the type of interloping that is happening now into your life, where you're being told when and where you can go and come, in and out of your house, when your children can play at the park. I bet you didn't see that coming either, right? Right. So what we have to realize is that there's a greater scheme at hand. All right. And if you're afraid of that, I don't know what to tell you, but it's showing itself to be a very real occurrence. Okay. So think about the fact that, again, the politicians are using these stages. They put out their messages via these campaigns around the country, and they're trying to polarize you, if you will. They're trying to get you to believe what they're selling or to buy what they are selling. Okay, and I use that word polarize for a reason, because if you think about it, when they are drawing you out to take part in what they call voting, they're telling you to come to the polls to vote, right? Remember, in light of the term I use, polarizing, they want you to come to the polls. I contend that you're not actually voting, but that they're taking a poll, and they're trying to find out what the temperature and the climate of the general populace is, so that they know how far they can go with their next agenda or with their current agenda that's been going on for centuries, right? This is old bloodlines. I'm sure you've all heard of the Rockefeller, the Rothschilds, the Warburgs, and all. So this is old money. These are old generations that have remained in power. Okay, so they're polling you. They want to know what you feel or how you see the moves that they're making, so that can tell them how much further they can push. I contend personally that there is no Democrat and Republican. They all come from the same pool. Okay, and think of president, vice president. These are corporate terms. These are corporate terms. Corporations have these terms, right? And in a corporation, there may be an election or an appointment of a new vice president or president to replace someone that's stepping down or that's been fired or what have you, right? But the individuals that they bring to the forefront to potentially take on the designation, they come from the same corporation. They're within the corporation usually, right? And even if they come from without the corporation, they're still going to follow the policies and procedures of the corporation. I mean, you just got to realize that, right? So that has to tell you that both sides are working for the same goal, working for the same corporation. They're not at odds per se with each other. They're just presenting their own viewpoint. They're trying to march forward with what they think is best for this corporation, but they're on the same team. And so, but in this type of situation, and the situation I'm referring to is the United States corporation situation, the people are not privy to what's really going on. You know, we're down on this lower rung of society where we're just trying to keep food on our table. We're working ourselves to the bone. But up in the political sphere, you know, they have these backdoor games that they're playing. What happens after they're done being viewed on these TV broadcasting stations? We don't see what happens once they leave the camera's view, right? You don't know what's going on. What do? Do you seriously think they keep their suits and ties on, their blue and red tie, the ties and the white shirts and the suit jackets? Or do you think that they may punch out after a while and go on and do what they do? Maybe perhaps their gentlemen's clubs and all kinds of things they're probably doing behind closed doors. You don't get to see that. You only get to see the perspective that the television broadcasting systems are programming you to. And so you believe whatever you see for that half hour or hour of that television program. Okay, and you flick through, and then there's another one that captures your mind and your thought process. Okay, planting little seeds here and there. So again, I contend that the politicians, I call it politicians, are polling the people to see what the climate and temperature, the thought process, how much further they can go with their agendas. Okay, and then the people in their mind become polluted, right? So the politicians, all right, are polling the people and polluting our minds with their agendas. Because the people used to be independent. We were independent thinkers. We thought for ourselves. Look at the word government, okay? Look at the root, govern, meaning to control or with control. And ment comes from, I think it's mentes, Latin, which means the mind. So government means control of the mind or mind control. That's literally what it means. Look up the etymological roots of the words and you'll find that that's what it means. And so it's no wonder that TV, news reporting stations and all that, the platform that the governments use are these platforms, these television broadcasts, these news stations. So it's just something to think about. Are you being polarized? All right. Did you come up with your own thought process? Do you create and build your own narrative? Or are you just taking what's being spoon-fed to you, the narrative of people with money and wealth, influence, and power? And I don't care if that's an NBA star, NFL star. Why do they use them, okay, to impression your mind on the lower rung of society? What fellowship hath light with darkness, as the great scripture says, right? Right. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they're not even on your level, in your caste system. How many of you make multi-millions of dollars? Okay, their concern in life is not the same as yours, but they are used to push an agenda and a narrative. And until the American people stop listening to the narratives and start actually doing some thinking, and not only thinking, but critical thinking, again, we are going to continue to lose our country, our freedoms. and our God-given rights. All right, but I'm off my soapbox. It's about 15 minutes now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. What say you? Give me some comments down below. All right, and I'll keep pumping out some this data. All right, so let's see. Yeah, like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to hit that button down below so that you get notifications each time I post a new video. All right, so informed conclusions are drawn here at Knowledge Well Media. Get this out there, guys. Think, critically think. All right, and I'll see you next time here at Knowledge Well. Courtney signing out.